Greetings! Today on my Focus RS I am doing some interior modification.
Alright, so this is what I'm going to be using then to do a little bit of interior modification today. This is what is described as Alcantara style full suede vinyl wrap in colour charcoal from a company called Abode Window Film. So this is a self-adhesive Alcantara style wrap which feels absolutely awesome. It feels just like any Alcantara that I've ever felt, which is great. It has a really nice like thin sort of pile, with, you know, it's quite smooth, which is exactly what you want. You can get similar such products from various different places on the internet, and I've seen a bunch of them that are like, you know, have a really thick sort of pile, which would not look right or feel right. If you compare it to the Alcantara, for example, on the Sportster CS seats in the RS, it's an extremely thin pile, which this will match in nicely with. So, you know, I think that's quite an important thing, to match the pile to make it look right and feel right, of course. So yeah, this was not overly expensive. All in, this was £15 delivered. It size-wise is 20 centimeters by 152 long. So it's a reasonable size. You know, we'll get, you know, a decent bit of mileage out of it. It should be fairly easy to do. It's really thin. I don't know how well that comes across in camera, but it's super thin, and that includes the paper peel back bit for the self-adhesive. Really simple sort of concept. What I'm going to do today is the two vents either side of the front of the car. So I'm going to take them off. I am going to prep them. I'm going to wrap them. So cut it to an approximate size. We'll apply it. We'll trim it. We'll put it all back together, and that will be that. They give us a nice little half-size applicator tool as well, which is really nice of them. So yeah, very simple concept, going to be very effective. Because it's self-adhesive, going to be very easy and simple and streamline the process. So without further ado, let's go and get started.
Alright, so I'm going to start on the passenger side just because it's a little bit easier. I mean, both sides are fairly simple for doing these vents, because it's this part here that we are going to be wrapping right here. So we're going to take this off, and then we're going to do the wrapping. To do that, we need to take off this side panel right here. So this panel goes right over here and underneath the weather stripping, and it goes all the way down. It even goes around here, the back. I can reach here and you can maybe see it moving there. So the first thing that we need to do is to just sort of move the weather stripping out of the way. Then we can get a trim tool in and start prying and pulling. There are 3 metal clips. They're sort of around this area here. So we're going to pry and like pull it, and that should come right off and give us easy access to the rear of the vent. What I'm actually going to do is open this up, and then I can feel the lip of this right here, and I'm just going to pry it just with my fingers because I can get them in real easy, and just give that a pull, and it comes right off. You can see those are the 3 metal clips I was talking about. So yeah, just getting it in there, giving it a pull, and it comes right off. So we're going to pop this little screw out. It's a T20 Torx. Okay, so in here I'm going to like reach in and start pushing the bottom part of the vent out. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to also like sort of grip it and give it a pull at the same time. There we go. So yeah, now that we have a handle on that, should be able to, you know, just continue to, you can see it's getting kind of loose there and easy to remove. Should be able to just, you know, pull this out and maybe give it a bit of help from here. If you really want to, you could stick like a flathead screwdriver or like a thin trim tool in here and push from this side as well.
Now I am going to separate like this vent duct from the outer part. So it's already like loose at the bottom, so we just need to like these sort of silvery looking bits, just need to pry them up, and hopefully then it will come off. So what we have left in the part that we're trying to cover is we got the top like vent louvre and the bottom one too. All right, so bottom vent, they have for some reason to like plasti welded or melted these little clips at the bottom here for some reason, but I guarantee you they will just not be doing like anything. So if we just like grip the sides, these little like flaps, and then from underneath like push the vent, so just sort of gently pull and push. Yeah, see, that's not even doing anything. Just comes right out. So the top one is a similar sort of thing. You can hopefully kind of see just the little clippy bits, and then they're just sort of clipped into this thin little plasticky bit. We could probably do what we're trying to do with those still in place, because if you see like this kind of angle, you know, we can probably use that gap. Just to be doing this the absolute best way, I'm gonna remove them. You know, just be gentle because the plastic is fairly thin. Right. And we're out. At this point, we have a bit of a decision that we have to make, because this like metal style surround bit that's like on the outer part of the main vent. So you need to make a decision as to whether we want to just wrap over it or if we want to wrap under it and retain that. Now the issue with that is that in Ford's wisdom, they decided to, again, plasti weld this in. So basically they melted all of these points, so you can't easily remove this. If you want to remove this, you have to break those or melt those again, just to get this off, which is a pretty big hassle. And then of course, whenever you put it back on, you'd have to use some kind of adhesive probably, and stick it back in place. I might just wrap over this, because that sounds like a lot of work, but yeah, that's the choice that you have to make at this point. Next thing is to cut a length of this. So going sideways, it isn't long enough, so you have to go like long ways. So yeah, we'll just cut a generous size length here first. So lay it out, so that's about here. So yeah, just cut that out first. So this piece is now a good length, but it's like way too wide. So just to make it a bit easier to work with, I'm going to cut it up the middle and we can reuse this somewhere else. Okay, cool. So flip it around, peel this back, and then we will like stick it down onto the front surface, kind of like that. After that, we can start pushing it through. We can cut like a hole here, bend it in through, and then cut it nice and neat. Before we do that though, I'm going to prepare the surface, just get it nice and clean, and for that I am going to use Carbon Collective Panel Prep Cleanser. Just a quick spray onto my microfiber and then give it a wipe down, make sure that it's nice and dry, and then we're good to go. You could use like an alcohol based cleaner, but the issue with using the likes of IPA on these like black hard plastics is you can discolor them, and you know, that's a bit of a problem if you ever want to, you know, undo this and go back to a stock configuration. So yeah, I like using this stuff. It's really good, it works well, and it doesn't damage anything. So just give it like a little bit of a rub after doing that. You can kind of see like the outline there, which is pretty sweet. We want to get it all the way around the lip of the plastic. So, you know, just follow it along and do that essentially. If you want to use one of these little tools, they can be really handy, just to like, you know, once it's around the corner, just to like really push it in. But just that initial sort of turning of the corner, just like do it with my finger, and then we'll grab this, push it in. Whenever we get up to like a corner here, we want to like, you know, obviously push it down, but also kind of maybe, you know, give it a bit of a pull and a stretch around. essentially making sure that we have a really nice like overlap and a nice line all the way around. Alright, so essentially what we have now is we have like the front surfaces wrapped. We just have like some excess that we need to cut off from the rear, and then we need to cut like a hole in the middle of these for the vent holes, and then do the same wrapping around the edge. So as far as like, you know, trimming excess, what I've got here is like a really sharp blade. It's actually a scalpel thing. You know, we can hold it like a pen and, you know, just really carefully run a line along it. Alright, so you can see that top edge is looking lovely, absolutely perfect. So yeah, I'll just continue and just go around the rest of this and trim that excess off, and then we'll get to these middle bits. Right, so there we go. That is the outer edge done, wrapped around really nice, trimmed out and looking real good. So now we are going to address these middle bits. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut like an X here just to, you know, take out the tension, and then we'll do the same thing as we did for the outer edge, but for this inner edge, wrapping it nicely around and then trimming it out. Right, so that's the top vent hole done, so I'll just repeat that same process for these two. So there we go, that's the wrap complete. So now what we can do is reassemble. So we'll get all these like vents back in place, and then we can get back out to the car. Top tip, don't forget about the little mechanism that I had left like sitting up here that controls like the little opening of the bottom vent. I had to just sort of, you know, pull this apart and put it in. You can see it sort of hooks on the side here. It goes through a little hole on that side. There's like a little groove in it that connects up to you know, the vent mechanism. So yeah, don't forget to do that like I did, otherwise you're gonna have to come back and redo it. But anyway, that is this vent ready to go back to the car. Alright, so reinstallation is just going to be
basically the opposite of installation. Should be pretty simple, quick, easy. We're just going to line it up, push it in, make sure that our vent lines up with the vent in there. Then we'll get our little torque screw in and put our side panel back on. Alright, so we're nicely like down and in, so just lining it up, and then we'll push it on. There we go, clicked in. Alright, so there we go, that's this side done. Looking really nice, feeling really nice. Just matches in like perfectly with like the Alcantara we have here on the Sportster CS seats. So yeah, let's go over to the driver's side and do that. The process is going to be very similar, but I mentioned earlier that it's a little bit different just because there's that extra little instrument panel down here. So you can see, like, once you come beyond like the main vent, you've got like a different shaped small vent down here, and then the big old panel, which is going to be a little bit different because of course there is going to be an electrical connection behind that which needs to be disconnected. First part though, removing the side panel, is going to be the exact same, so I will just skip ahead and do that now. So yeah, as soon as I take the panel off, we can actually see that and actually put our fingers on the electrical connection right here. And in fact, might even be able to, yeah, I think I can remove that. Just press the little tab and pull that off, and that is that. So then we can go ahead and just remove that in the same way as we did the other side, just removing the little torque screw and then clipping it out. Right, so the bottom button panel comes off like as part of the lower vent assembly in the exact same way as the lower vent came off from the passenger side. In fact, it came off really easily. It just sort of just went like that and it just came off. So I guess the question is, do we put our Alcantara material around this bit as well? I'm probably going to hum and ha about that for a minute, but yeah, I'll leave that till last while I think about that, and then I will just continue with this bit, which is exactly the same as the other side, so I will just fast forward and do it. No point in showing you the same stuff twice. So yeah, I'll just click on ahead and get this done. Alright, so I have that all done now, which is looking great, and you know, I think I will just go ahead and do this, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. So to click the little button panel out, what we have to do, see these little metal tabs, there's 4 of them, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. What you have to do is press them in and then push it out, and it's as simple as that. And there we go, and yeah, that does look pretty awesome, to be fair. Alright, awesome. So that's it all back together and ready to go back into the car. Alright, so there we are, back in the car. Looking really nice, really sleek, fits real nice, looks awesome, feels good. I like it. Of course, before putting the side panel back on, need to reconnect this wiring harness. Alright, so then it's just our torque screw and our side panel, and then I will be installation complete. There we go then, that is the installation finished of our awesome looking, awesome feeling Alcantara wrap on our vents in the front of the RS. I think it looks so good, and it feels really nice. It just raises the quality of the interior in the RS up a notch, and I think that's great. So yeah, I'm very happy with the product. The product from that Abode company, really good. You know, it was really nice to handle, to work with. It wrapped really easily. It just worked really well, and it's fantastic. You know, the adhesive was good and sticky. Yeah, what's not to like about that? And it wasn't that expensive either. I've still got a bunch of it left in there to do something more with, and that kind of raises the question, what next, if anything, should I do with that wrap or something like it, or something different in the interior? You know, I had kind of thoughts of perhaps, you know, maybe doing like the pillar covers here, because they're just a bit of plastic, and there's various other surfaces in here as well. I know a buddy of mine, Dylan, he did this bit in Alcantara as well. So, you know, like, there's various things that I could do, but, you know, is there a limit? You know, when is it, you know, too much, or is there such thing as too much? You could go wild in here, but maybe that's not the best way to go. What do you think? Put a comment down below and let's start a discussion. So yes, I hope you like what I've done today as much as I do, and I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe for more content to come very soon. Thank you once again. Goodbye.